Hey ink drinkers, welcome to my reading vlog. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and this vlog is going to be all about Strange Weather by Joe Hill. So if you have not been around, the past couple of months, I have done a picker wheel for my physical reads. I did just finish From Dead to Worse. This is book 8 in the Sookie Stackhouse series. I think it's my favorite book so far. I think I said that about the last one. This one soars far above the rest in my book. I really enjoyed it. So the reason I'm reading Strange Weather above the others that we have chosen through the picker wheel was because my son chose this one. The cover is really cool. The closer you look, the more detail there is. Really like this cover. The colors, everything. It just felt very summery to me. We do have strange weather here in Michigan in the summertime. It is tornado season. I'm just trying to make connections here, okay? I'm trying to make connections. Perfect summer read, okay? So let me just read to you a little tiny blurb. Literary alchemist Joe Hill takes us beyond the ordinary in this quartet of thrilling, haunting, and entertaining novellas about remembering and forgetting, falling and fantasizing, homicide and helplessness, wind and rain, living and dying, dreams and nightmares. We're gonna dive in. 4 short novels. Excited about this. So I will take you along for the ride. Hello, excuse the lighting. It's a little after 9 and I just finished the first story in Strange Weather and it was called Snapshot. Now this story was brilliantly crafted in my opinion. I already have quite a few tabs going here for the first story and I started it last night, finished it tonight, and I would say that I'd give this particular story 4.5 stars out of 5. We'll round up to 5. So this story was quite weird at times, a little bit creepy and unnerving at others, quite nostalgic, and it gave me a lot to chew on. It kind of explores the importance of memories and how they shape us and how we can truly value them throughout our lives, whether or not those memories spark joy or sadness or anger, how important they are. To save you from spoilers, I'll just give you a few elements from the story and then we will move on. So there's a Polaroid camera. That's not quite a Polaroid. There is a 13-year-old boy who kind of feels like an outsider. He's very smart, he's overweight, so that comes into play in his social standing and just his thoughts on himself. And there's an older woman who is the neighbor to this boy, and she is more like a motherly figure to him. There's a creepy guy that goes along with the Polaroid who wants to keep taking pictures of this lady. And this boy has a run-in with this guy and things get weird, things get deep. I cried at a couple of different points in this story. Joe Hill is an excellent writer. He definitely learned a lot from his dad, but he stands on his own. He definitely has a unique voice. I read his book Horns recently, really enjoyed that, but I think I enjoyed this story even better. So I am looking forward to seeing what else he has to bring in this collection, and I will get back to you soon. But highly recommend at least the first story in Strange Weather because it gives you so much to chew on. I'll see you at the next check-in. Hello, little check-in for Strange Weather. I have been reading a bit, but also doing a whole lot of stuff outside, doing some household chores. I just finished up doing my mid-year freakout tag, so if you're interested in checking that out, it is already up. I will link it below. But I have not finished the second story in this book. It's a lot longer than the first. I am on page 151, and this particular story goes to page 232. So I've got a little ways to go, but I wanted to check in because I am really enjoying this. At first I was a little bit confused because we had different timelines and there were different characters as the main focus for each chapter in this story. And so I didn't know how they'd be connected. I had a feeling they would be just because it's all part of the story Loaded, but I wasn't sure where it was going. I wasn't sure how the first chapter was going to connect with the rest of the book. We're following three different kind of main characters and kind of what's leading up to this big event in this story. So I've gotten to the point where I am finally putting the pieces together, and it's so good. It's so good. I really want my husband to read this, especially the second story. So I am enjoying it, and I will check in again when I am done with this story. Could be today, could be a few days from now, who knows? With me, you just never know when I'm gonna check in and when I'm gonna finish a book or a story or a chapter. It happens when it happens. Hello, I just finished Loaded, and so there's a whole lot to say about this. The name fits, we'll just put it that way. The story starts off with a journalist's POV way back when she was a young girl, and she witnessed a murder of someone who was close to her. So she has a lot behind her when it comes to getting a story, getting all the details, and making sure that justice is served. It also follows the hero who has a shady past. He's not perfect by any means. No one is, but this dude's got a lot of skeletons in his closet. And it also follows the shooter. The shooter is someone who you would likely never suspect would off anyone. So the entire story centers around a mall shooting in a jewelry store. And there was only one intended victim, but a few others were slain in the process. And so it's kind of following everyone's lives kind of leading up to this particular event, and then the aftermath. And I have got to say, the hero was not my favorite person. Did not like that character, but Joe Hill wrote him very well. And by the time I got to the end of this story, I wanted to throw this book. I don't feel that way very often. Okay, maybe I do, but I feel like I read quite a few books in between my need to throw one of them. And I definitely wanted to throw this book at the end of the story because while it's a realistic ending, it just angered me. We'll just leave it at that. I give this particular story, Loaded, 4 stars. The reason I'm giving this story 4 stars is because I'm just bitter about that ending, and there are just a few things that rubbed me the wrong way, not in the writing, just with the characters. And I guess that could earn it 5 stars because he really did his job in writing despicable characters. But I don't know. I think it kind of knocked me out of the story a couple of times and into reality a little too far, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that feeling. But overall, it was an excellent story. It was written really well, kept me on the edge of my seat, especially during and after the whole mall shooting. That everything leading up was interesting, but it didn't hook me the way that the action and the aftermath did. So really like that one, and I just knocked a star off because of those couple of moments where I just felt the ick a little too much. Not like gory ick, just like real world ick. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying here? So up next, I am reading a story called Aloft. So this is a little shorter than the last. We're starting on page 233 and ending on page 330. So under 100 pages. We'll see how fast I can get through this and what I think of it. So far, the first story, Snapshot, is my favorite, but they're both excellent stories. I can't believe how much detail, action, and depth Joe Hill can fit into such short stories. It's amazing. It blows me away. It really does. So really looking forward to this next one. I'm going to get to it. I'll see you soon. Hello, time for a check-in. I finished Aloft last night and I love this story. It is my favorite story by far in this book so far, and I've been enjoying myself, so you know it's gonna be good, right? So I give it solid 5 stars. Absolutely love Aloft. Aloft follows a young man named Aubrey, who is going skydiving with his friends in honor of a friend who passed away from cancer. And he's terrified, absolutely terrified. He does not want to do this, but he's there kind of to impress one of the girls. So he was in a band with the friend who passed away alongside this other girl that is going to be jumping out of this plane. And the deceased friend's brothers are on this little adventurous trip as well. So he's very nervous. He's farting. He's like trying to talk his way out of it. Well, they get very, very close to their jumping spot and something goes wrong with the plane. And he thinks that the pilot and the coaches, jumping partners, what do you call them? Oh, my brain's not working in that way today. The tandem jumpers, whatever, he thinks they're messing with him. And he's like, turn the plane back on. You're not going to convince me to jump. I don't want to jump. I paid you. I don't want to jump. And he's just kind of going on. And the guy that he's strapped to says, well, we're not messing with you. We do need to jump because we need to get this plane going. And the way he has to do it is basically going to kill us if we stay in here unbuckled and rolling around. So he's like, doesn't make a difference to me. You paid me and you don't get a refund. So whether you jump or not doesn't matter to me. But we need to get the heck out of this plane so he can safely try to land it.
And so, well, of course, he's the last to jump out of the plane. And while they're flying and getting close to their spot, they see this oddly shaped cloud. It's shaped like a very large, like a mile long at its length, old school spaceship, UFO, you know, with a dome on top. So they think it's weird, and they pointed out, these novice jumpers pointed out that the cloud is moving in a different direction than the rest of the clouds. And there was some scientific explanation as to why that was happening. It's no big deal, don't worry about it. Well, when he finally jumps, let's just say he and his jumping partner find out that this cloud is no ordinary cloud. There were some chapters in this book that jumped back and showed us how Aubrey met his bandmates, became friends with them, kind of how he was connected to the brothers as well. And it gave us some great insight to what kind of person he is and just how much he loved Harriet, his bandmate. So I really liked that. It gave it some more depth and really helped us to get to know Aubrey a little bit more. There was so much weird stuff going on in this story. I really think that Strange Weather would be a great book to read, or just picking out one of the stories in this book for the Week of Weird. Definitely fits the Week of Weird, especially that one. That was weird. In the best sort of way, of course. Again, solid 5 stars. Highly recommend that story. Highly recommend this book. I'm really enjoying it. I kind of skimmed through some of the reviews and looked at the star ratings of my friends on Goodreads for this book, and there's some mixed opinions here. One of my friends, who I highly value their opinion, didn't care for this book as much. They gave it a 3-star rating. So far, I don't know what rating I would give it, because the first, I guess it'd be 4-star, maybe 4.5, rounded up to 5. Because the first story was 4.5, rounded up to 5. The second story was 4 stars, and this last one is 5. So I guess we'll figure out a final rating based off of how much I love this last story. I'm about 10 pages into the story Rain, and this starts off very strong. I am like kind of blown away by what's going on, and I need to know what happens next. But I'm gonna go read, and I will check back in soon. P.S. We are in the midst of summer spooks. If you'd like more information about that, or to see what I'm reading and watching during this event, I have posted a Summer Spooks Possibilities video, and you can check it out. Hello! Here we are with the final check-in for Strange Weather by Joe Hill. I just finished Rain, which is the final story in the book, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This story follows a woman who lives in the Denver area, and she is awaiting a visit from her girlfriend's mother. So her girlfriend is bringing her mother back to their place to stay. So she's really excited about this because her girlfriend's parents are really loving and great people, and she loves being around them. So it's an exciting thing. After they arrive, they see a storm cloud coming, and so they're trying to get like a chair that's on top of the car that they want to bring into the house, all undone and brought into the house. And she's also babysitting a little boy who's not supposed to be outside in the sun. His medication makes him allergic to the sun. He really cannot be outside. And so she's trying to keep an eye on him while all this is going on. And then a big rain cloud, storm cloud comes. And what comes out of it is not the rain we know. And I thought for sure it was going to be something a little less solid than what came out of the sky. It was very intense. This was a I wouldn't say it's extreme horror. It could be. I don't really know what the limits are for extreme horror, but this was pretty extreme, especially for the other stories that were in this book. I don't know. I felt like this was the most extreme because it happened a lot and to a great number of people, and it was just absolute chaos. Now, amidst the chaos, there was a lot of depth to this story as well. Like I said before, I don't know how he packs such an emotional punch into these shorter stories, but he does a really excellent job with it. Because, you know, with your typical novel, the author has more time to give you kind of an emotional attachment to the characters, to build them up, and to really hook you. Well, when it's done in a shorter form, a lot of the time, the emotional aspect falls flat for me, which is why I'm not always the biggest fan of short story collections. But these are kind of longer short stories. They're short novels is what he calls them. And so he has just enough time to really hook you without dilly-dallying. And then he can really pack a punch because he doesn't have a whole lot of time or space to do that in these shorter stories. So I really, really loved it. I have a huge respect for him and his way of writing. I am hooked. I am hooked on this book. So I am really glad that I was able to read this finally. This was a gift from a fellow book-loving friend, and I am so glad that I received this and can't wait to read more of Joe Hill's work. What is my overall rating of Strange Weather? I ended up giving it 5 stars on Goodreads and on my Fable app. I know you can do like half and quarter stars over there, but I like to round, and I would say it's a 4.75. I don't know how to calculate, but 3 of the 4 stories were 5 stars, and 1 was a 4.5 star read, I believe. Now I forget. We're just gonna go with 5 stars. I absolutely loved this collection. Every story was intriguing. Every story kept me turning those pages. Every story had some sort of emotional hook to them. Absolutely loved it. So I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Let me know if you've read any of his other books. Of course, I've read Horns, and that is it. So I need to read the rest of his books. Where should I turn next? What should I keep my eye out for if I'm thrifting? Anyway, thank you so much for following me on this long journey through Strange Weather. It took me a lot longer than I expected, almost the entire month. Well, not really. I mean, yes, the majority of the month. I think I started this on June 9th. It's now the 25th. It took me a while to get through this, but life's been happening. Things have been going on. Just family things, you know, taking care of the family and doing the things that I need to do, all the adulting. And so sometimes it takes me a lot longer to read a book than I originally anticipated. But that's okay because I was able to experience these stories all throughout the month, and it's been such a fun time. What am I reading next? Dead and Gone, book 9 in the Sookie Stackhouse series. I will be reading this as part of the Summer Spooks event hosted by E.D. Lewis, Nocturnal Reviews, and I'm really excited because this is my final Sookie Stackhouse book that's on my shelves before I need to go on the hunt for the rest. But I'm very happy that I'm diving into kind of a comfort read as well. How's the weather where you live? I'd love to know. As you can see, the weather's been all over the place this month, and I'm not complaining. It's been hot. It's been absolutely gorgeous. It's been rainy. It's been sunny. We had sunshine with rain, which produced the beautiful rainbows that you may have seen in my extra clips. I can't complain too much. I am so happy it hasn't been scorching hot all month because we tend to get really humid summers. So I love when it's super temperate and I can just chill, you know? All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me for this vlog. Thank you so much for hanging out this long. I know your time is valuable and I've taken up way too much of it. So until next time, cheers.